away from Dublin. He came to London to live in Putney. So let me ask you a question now. So living in Dublin.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fair to say that you're probably a minority in that.
Only one. Weren't we, Franco?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, I didn't see any black people, just myself.
We've all seen that video that's flying around with the bouncer.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Now, to racism,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that some of it's covert, some of it's overt. I mean, some's in your face, some's not in your face.
Yeah.
Now, would you go as far as saying that your life in Dublin, what was it like? In the sense of you being a minority, being maybe the only one.
Yeah,
Did you feel that you had to adapt? Did you feel that you could be yourself?
No, so I was horrible. So when I grew up as a kid, when I was around 5 or 6, I think the first time somebody called me a nigger and it hurt. But I didn't do it, and I went home. My dad, rest in peace. He said that I could, if anybody ever says that, attack. So from then on, you can ask my brothers and all, I've just been beating people up. So my whole upbringing in Ireland, I had like a group of lads that were pretty rough.
Yeah. I
lived in an area called Blanchardstown, it was a real rough area. My mates were the roughest lads, and they loved me because I was really good at football. People wanted to hang around with me because I was really good at sports. But I used to, let's say I went to a group and people be looking like, you know what I mean? So for me to get my dominance, I needed to go, what are you looking at? Start a fight, make them fight me, and then that's the only way that I
Would you say that from growing up, would you say that racism is taught? Would you say it's inherent? Would you say racism, because, okay, let me go back. Let's use the word prejudice first. Because I like to say there's two separate things of racism and prejudice. Would you go as far as saying that we're all born with some form of prejudice?
Yeah.
Or would you say that's inherent in all of us?
I'd say everybody does. I think, well, for me, I'm not a racist, but I'd say something like if somebody, it must be an Irish thing, like if somebody from China or something came past me in a car, the first thing I'd say, and I'd be like, what did I say that for? Do you know what I mean? And I remember, like, my best mates, this is the part that I knew something was wrong. A black person would do something to one of my best mates, I'd be sitting in the car and they go, that black, and I'd be like, what the do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm like, you're my best, you know what I mean? Like, what
I find interesting though, I find interesting is that behind closed doors, I think there's a lot of things that we know we say we shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's just that no one's got a tape recorder listening to what they're saying, and no one's saying it. Because there's certain things that I've said.
Yeah, that's what I mean about this Chinese thing.
I've said certain things. And even when we look at culture, for instance, now, I don't know how to word this, so I'm trying to be as PC as possible. Look, when you look at racism, I always say that there's got to be certain ingredients for it. And I always say that as much as we say if someone calls someone a nigger or a cracker or a honker, we say that's racist. I wouldn't call that racist. I just call that prejudice. What I consider racism to be is when you have prejudice plus the social power to actually make change. Okay. So for instance, when you subjugate a whole set of people, that to me is what racism is. For instance, when you can say that you as a black person, we're going to subjugate you for 400 or 500 years and you're not going to prosper or benefit. That to me is what I classify as racism.
Yeah, so what you're saying is perfect for me. Ireland is not racist. Prejudice, I think what you said may be that, but they wanted me to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even now when I'm over here, like it's Ireland that are Paul from Art, do you know what I mean?
Or was you the token black guy?
Yeah, everywhere. I was the only one.
And did you feel that you had to appease a certain? So for instance, you're a big guy. Let me say how big you are.
Massive, but don't worry. Jaheem, tell them, bro. You know when you get to our size, Jaheem, tell them.
He's strong. So I'm gonna assume that you was the token black guy.
Yeah.
Did you feel that being a big black guy that you had to kind of appease people, or almost like oh, he's a cool black kid. Now he's a cool one. He is. He's alright, Benga.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your name again?
Paul. Yeah.
I got a friend called Kunle. Do you know him?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I got a black mate.
What would you think here? Your life would have been like if you didn't play sports. How would they have treated
so
you?
We can continue. Who's
yourself?
Yeah, much harder. If I wasn't really good at sports, then people wouldn't knock around to my door as much. When I was a kid, because I was really good at football, everybody wanted to be in my house. You know what I mean? And then because I was beating people up, then all my mates. When Franco, like, wasn't it? There's me little brother there. He can tell you because I was beating people up. People were like Paul will do it. Do you know what I mean? So then if my mates got in trouble, then they'd get me. But then it got to a stage where I was getting in more trouble, so I needed people to help. Do you know what I mean? So it was just fucking. It's a weird world. It's weird. I don't. The more I look back at it, I always the more I think, oh shit, that's wrong.
Remember we was talking about in school, you was talking about the Jeromes and blah blah blah, and someone was saying that it's funny how Lin May took that clipping and posted it on her page today, and she was saying that it's funny how people always complaining about racism and all of that, and they were saying that in the late 90s, basically most people from the islands did to Africans what white people are doing to everyone. So it was just like it was a passed down. But she was saying that someone put a joke in the comments saying, fast forward, the same people that was making African jokes are now going on Ancestry.com to find out that they're 30% Nigerian, 51% Nigerian, and they're all calling themselves Olua Michael, Olua Jerome.
Has anyone ever said you act white?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that before? That whole phrase where someone says like,
unless someone you talk white or
but this is where it comes in, not where I'm from or where if I'm around here.
Yeah.
So see, I'm here with you boys now, and then somebody go, you act like a white. It's always when I'm with me, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, fucking hell, it's not me. I was born in Dublin, like.
I don't know behavior. I don't know it's different. And I find it funny because when people say that, they usually say it in a negative way, meaning that black people act a certain way, even though our behaviours are not homogenous, or talk a certain way. They say you're acting white. And I always say that, what is acting white or acting black? So for instance, you're black, you're just there's no difference between me and you. Just that you was born in you're not born, but raised in Dublin. Okay, which means that your upbringing was a bit different, the environment you're in was a bit different to what I was. So maybe I was raised in South London, a bit rough. And no, funny thing is that Dublin's still rough, but it's a different rough.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's not like there's London rough, but there's still gangs and there's still whatever happening.
Still people want to fight you. I think what I've learned over here is kind of like there's a gang culture where like you walk in an area in Dublin, like the old lady on the street will fight you. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of everybody's ready to fight, and you have to like stand up to it. So it's like you can never back down, and nobody goes to the police, and it's kind of just a little bit different over here than there.
When I moved here from Niger, I used to speak more properly before I started mixing in the ends. So when I moved here, like, remember in Nigeria they teach English as first language in school, so you're taught to speak English properly. So I said to people, by the time I got to year 11, my spelling became poorer, my English became poorer, because I started trying to blend in with everyone. I started mixing slang with English. Then as I got older, I started speaking properly again. But it took a while to find that balance of being able to switch in between.
How would you say you've experienced racism? And I'm talking to you because you're in the middle. You know, like, you know, Mickey Mouse, black and white. I mean, like, you've got the best of both worlds. You know them ones, innit? Now, my thing is that
he always does this, innit?
What racism would you say that you've experienced in the fact that we're, like, for instance, you're biracial? Is it fair for me to say that? Yeah. So obviously you've got a bit of the black side, a bit of the white side. Now, being in the middle, which is maybe say a good and a bad thing. What racism would you say that you experienced?
You get it from both sides. So there's a lot of situations where like you can't really sit with the white people, for example, because you don't look like them. And the same way you can't really sit with the black people because as much as you might be involved in their culture and stuff, you're still not like them. For example, in London, like you got a group of white people, a group of black people, but there's like kind of very few mixed people because it's still kind of like a newish thing, because like couples never really used to get together like biracial and stuff and have like kids that look like me, so there's a lot less of us. So like when you start to go to school and go to these social environments, you get from both sides and you can't really sit with anyone. Let's try and
analyse and say, so when you say from both sides, so let's talk from the black side. So what kind of racism would you say that you experience, or what kind of prejudice or ignorance do you get from the black side? So
you'll get something like, for example, if let's say I was with my black friends, one of them got called like a nigger or whatever. Some of them might throw away where like, oh, you can't speak on this issue because as much as you're here with us, you're not one of us.
That's bollocks. That's so annoying, that is, man.
But
I
you
have
get it.
Mixed race girls, bro. So I fucking
Okay, so then from the white side, what would you say you get from the white side?
From the white side, it's just like you don't look like us. You're one of them.
So basically, you say you're like in a demilitarized zone where it's like
but a lot of mixed race people kind of have like this depersonalization where they don't feel like they can sit with anyone. They don't feel like they're part of any group, and it's very isolated, especially like in these social groups where people just kind of click together. Like Africans stick with Africans more time because it's natural.
Now, would you say you identify now? Do you identify? You know, all the pronouns are now.
Normalize, you know.